Lord, if you're out there, I need you in this moment. Please do not let me fall with this woman in my head.
In a show that has this many epic martial arts scenes, it makes sense that no matter how many times the scene is rehearsed, there's still a major element of danger hovering above. In this video, we'll be talking about sword fights, broken thumbs, cuts, bruises, falls, and trips to the ER. Buckle up.
Being there and doing it ourselves.
Number 1. Things get real in this one. Thomas Ian Griffith has been doing martial arts since he was a kid, so naturally, he's got a lot of experience with swords. I was thinking, how are we going to top all these great karate fights? We've seen a lot of karate, so I walked over to one of the creators and said, what if we did a sword fight? I'm really good at swords. He was really excited that it was going to happen.
But now, time to find out what you're really made of.
But also nervous about it at the same time. But then, the thing is, because I'm so used to sparring and martial arts, you're putting a weapon in your hand, and you're in character, so the danger factor just went way up. Luckily, no one was actually harmed, but the element of fear was captured that day. That's why the scene worked so well. Number 2. Do you remember him from Karate Kid 3? His aggressive fighting style really hasn't changed much. One thing that made shooting his fight scenes in Cobra Kai really difficult for him was the major shoulder injury he'd been nursing. He had to work with the fight coordinator, Don Lee, on what he physically could and could not do when it came to choreographing his scenes. He's also no stranger to onset injuries.
I can't even imagine what that's like.
While filming Karate Kid 3, he performed a stunt that required him to land on his side after jumping about 2 feet in the air, but unfortunately, it caused some serious internal issues. A few days later, after passing out at a blackjack table in Vegas, he had to get surgery after finding out he only had minutes to live.
I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm doing a martial arts film, and they're like, we don't know if we can save your life.
We're lucky to have him back on set for Cobra Kai. Number 3. Not the ideal fighting platform. In the prom after-party fight scene in Season 4, there were a lot of tricky elements to work around.
They wet the concrete so that the streets look larger than they are.
Not only was it 35 degrees outside that night, but they were also trying really hard not to slip and fall after every move.
These ladies too are fighting in either barefoot on concrete,
Just a bit of movie magic that can turn any scene into a dangerous environment.
high heels on concrete, or like slippery dress shoes.
Number 4. Not a sound you like to hear when filming a fight scene. As we mentioned, the concrete was very slippery in this prom after-party sequence, so at some point, Mary Mouser and Peyton List had to duck out of frame for a takedown.
I went down and I stupidly put my hands out like this to catch my fall, so I had like my hands spread.
Peyton, being in high heels, actually fell on top of her during her duck out.
Fell on my hand and my thumb went pop. And I immediately was like, I broke my thumb.
Did she say anything about it? No. One of the stunt guys heard the sound of her thumb popping and rushed to her aid.
Look, I was a fireman for years. I've heard that sound. That is not good.
Luckily, he was able to pop it back in place, and she kept going on with the scene like nothing happened. Number 5. One of the few stunts Jacob Bertrand wasn't allowed to do, because the kick involved wrapping his legs around his co-star's neck. The risk was way too high for him to perform it himself. Basically, he jumps up into this flying triangle, and Dawn wouldn't let Thomas catch me and throw me on the ground, but pretty much everything else I got to do. Number 6. We're talking glass. A lot of it. When Johnny and Sensei Kreese have their epic dojo battle, there was a medic on set super gluing cuts together, cleaning up injuries off the set, and getting them ready to go for another take. The Kreese stunt double was barefoot, and things like that where you've got flesh showing and you're going through glass onto concrete can be tricky. I would say that was probably one where our guy got banged up the most.
Nice move, LaRusso!
Number 7. Parkour, anyone? It makes sense why this would be one of the few scenes they really needed a stunt person for. I think the only thing I was not allowed to do was fly between the buildings, but I did get to sprint towards the jump and roll out of it. I just didn't get to fly over the buildings. That was my super lovely stunt double, Selkie Holm. She wasn't even attached to wires.
Wow, like, why does this look so accurate? Like, this looks disturbingly like me.
She really jumped that gap.
She was like, oh yeah, just because I study your run. I was like, what do you mean you study my run? She was like, you don't run normal.
Mary Mouser learned something about her running form that day.
Aw, I think your cat wants to come in.
I don't know you had a cat.
We don't.
Number 8. Definitely not your average house party. This scene was actually supposed to happen outside, but because of some nasty weather conditions, they had to switch it up last minute to make it work indoors. We had to completely redesign the fight to make it work inside the house, which made it a lot of fun because there was so much more stuff there we could move around. That probably was one of the more difficult ones to shoot. They also did it in just one shot, so getting everything done safely proved to be a major challenge.
Secret Miyagi pressure points.
Number 9. Not a fun day on set for Yuji Okumoto. While filming the fight scene between Daniel and Chozen, Yuji swung his legs up, which caused him to pull his hamstring. Although he kept fighting through the pain, you can see the moment on screen where he grabs his injured leg.
You're having fun at my expense.
Oh, you should have seen your face.
Number 10. Sometimes you forget that it's coming, keeping in mind that the actors basically do all of their own stunts. There was a particular sequence where Mary Mouser and Peyton List go toe-to-toe in the school hallway.
You kissed Miguel.
I bent backwards just in time, and everybody was like, wow, you really timed that perfectly.
There was actually more luck involved when it came to timing that reaction.
I completely forgot the kick was coming for my head, and I remembered at the very last second.
Number 11. We're not surprised, but still. In that same fight sequence from Season 2, Mary Mouser ended up with a pretty messed up hand. I've had a couple of injuries, all pretty much completely on my own. Messed myself up, misblocked a kick, and hyperextended these 3 fingers backwards once. Had to go to the ER, but I was all clear, all good.
My hand is taped, and you can actually, if you pause it, you can see certain shots where my fingers are taped together.
Number 12. Just another day at the office.
I did. I broke my toe.
When William was performing fight choreography with Martin Kove, he sustained quite a few injuries. We're talking pulled hamstrings, and most notably, a broken toe.
His feet are so big, my toe hit his toe. I jammed a toe, nobody even knew it. It went completely in my foot.
He kept quiet about it, out of fear that he might be replaced by his stunt double.
And I just yanked it out. Oh. It hurt. I'm telling you what, it was like a knife that went up.
Number 13. Naturally, there are gonna be a lot in this show. When training for the fight scenes, many of the actors didn't have any prior experience with martial arts.
I was covered in bruises just because we were going and we didn't have time to think to yourself, no, pull back.
Mary Mouser found herself getting accidentally hit a lot because she wasn't reacting fast enough to her co-star's punches and kicks.
We were just like, oh my God, what's the next step?
I'm begging you.
For what? Mercy.
With all the epic stunts and intense martial arts these actors and stunt doubles perform, it's unsurprising that none of them make it out unscathed. What was your favorite moment from the new season?